Hello, everyone. Steve here. As I promised, until the end of the NBA season, I'm going to do a review, kind of look at where the Portland Trailblazers. I'm sorry, I just popped a pimple. There's this big red spot right above my head. And, yeah, maybe not the best time to make a video. Anyway, we're now down to 22 games left in the season. The Blazers have moved up to 37 and 23. Pretty impressive, honestly, with all the hullabaloo going into the season. And I actually missed the first half because I was at work. So I get home. It's 71 to 48 at halftime of tonight's game, which was against Cleveland, who's, you know, laboring to say the least. But they have Kevin Love back. They might click a little bit, but I mean, they're still probably going to finish with, they'll be lucky to finish with, a 20 win season pretty much at this point. They're riding on Kevin Love, and he missed most of the season with an injury. So, it's just one of those things. But he's back. Cleveland's won a few in a row, granted not against great competition, but I get home, it's 71-48 at halftime. I'm thinking, all right, I get done with work, I can kick back and enjoy us just kind of coast into victory. And I forget what, in my opinion, is the Blazers' greatest deficiency, and it's been kind of a thing for the past couple of seasons, which is this team struggles to play a complete basketball game. The Blazers play a great 40 minutes of basketball, but 48 minutes seems to elude them, and it seems every game, unless they're being smart like they were in Philly. One of the things I noticed in Philly, the last game, was the Blazers took only 23 three-pointers and hit only 5 of them, but they only took 23, which is, 10, 12 less than they usually take per game. And I noticed a lot of their baskets when we blew the game open in the third quarter were right at the basket. We were actually going to the basket and getting high percentage shots, and who would have thought we were scoring more? Tonight, our big quarter was the second quarter, and we actually seemed to be we were banging our threes. But I did, that was one of the things I noticed, is that the Blazers played a really full, complete game against Philly, and they were getting a lot more twos. They only hit 5 3-pointers, but still scored 130 points. It's a lot of 2-point field goals you're putting down. And the problem is that when the Blazers start going cold, they stand out there and hoist up a bunch of threes, and they don't do what any logical NBA team should do, which is, you're cold, your shot's not dropping, let's not try to take the lowest percentage shot. And to start that third quarter, I come home and I actually I did some video of me while the second half was going on, and it's too embarrassing to even show here. I was getting so pissed watching that third quarter. Cleveland outscored us, let's see, 19-4 to start the third quarter. And we were getting open looks and just barely making contact with the rim. And we shot almost 80% in the second quarter. And I understand when you blow it up for a quarter, you tend to drop off a little bit in the next quarter. But it wasn't just that our offense was dropping off. It was that our defense became non-existent for the better part of the second half, up until the last, 5 minutes. Cleveland, it was like offensive rebound lay-in, uncontested lay-in, uncontested lay-in, open three, uncontested lay-in. And it was like that for the bulk of the second half. I mean, here's Cleveland. They score 48 points in the first half. They're up to 52 points in the second half when there was still 5 minutes left in the game. There was no defense. Blazers got outscored 36-17 and actually opened the fourth quarter pretty bad. 9 minutes left in the game. It was, I want to say, we were stuck on 92 points, which means after a full third quarter and 3 minutes into the fourth quarter, we'd scored 21 points in the second half. This was futility. I was reminded of a bizarre game that the Rockets played, Houston, a few years back, when they had a really good team. And they were playing a team that wasn't even that great, I want to say. And they had a 70, 72-point first half. And then they had a 28-point second half. And it was just this bizarre difference between two halves. And we were in danger of that. So, over 15 minutes, we'd only scored 21 points in the second half. And then over the course of the next 7 minutes after that, we scored 31 points. We just went off. And it was 105-102 with little under 5 minutes left, and then we scored 14 points in like 2 minutes. Just boom, 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 boom. So, as frustrating as it was to watch a lot of the game, at least the part I saw, because I missed the really good first half, it was really because one of the things that bothers me is if you're trying to make a late fourth quarter comeback, you're down 20 something going into the fourth quarter, and you have limited time to make a comeback. It's really hard to make a comeback and get over the top. But the fact that Cleveland had made the comeback, and by the end of the fourth quarter, we were only up by 4 with a full quarter to go, it wasn't like they were going to be totally exhausted in the fourth quarter, and they could have possibly overtaken us because our defense was atrocious. We let Cleveland look against us the way we looked against Philly in the last game. It was just uncontested, easy shot after another. And when it was 105-102, that was where our defense finally kicked in. And I was like, give us one stop. And then Chief, who I'd been railing on because he threw up some ugly-ass shots in the third quarter, he went in and stopped Kevin Love at the basket. We went the other way. We scored a basket. That stop happened. We scored another basket. Dame and CJ each hit a combined for like 3 3-pointers, and it was boom. Suddenly it went from 105 to 102 to 119 to 102 with like 3 minutes left, and it was pretty much all over at that point. So it was good to see us answer as strongly as we did, because that was looking like a second half destined to go down in futility. I mean, it was looking for a while there like we were barely going to eclipse 100 points, and when you have a 71-point first half, that's pretty embarrassing. So it was another example of the Blazers having these moments, and it's cost us games in the past. 2 seasons ago, we went 41-41, and we let so many games go in the second half that we should have won. Last year, was kind of the same. We had the 13-game winning streak we had last year was the sole reason we even made the playoffs. We were a 3 seed, but we were only like 4 or 5 games away from missing the playoffs altogether. So even if we went 7-6 on that 13-game stretch where we won all 13, we would have missed the playoffs by like a game or 2. That's how close the Blazers were to not even making the playoffs, and there we were, a 3 seed, because it was so dense. And that's something that the Blazers need to work on. And a big part of that is when your shot's not dropping and you haven't scored in like 4 or 5 possessions, stop hoisting up threes. I understand the Blazers offense revolves a lot around the 3-point shot. We have a lot of good 3-point shooters, but when the offense is stalemating, you need to get closer shots. You could be having the worst shooting night of your life, but you're still going to make a lay-in 9 out of 10 times. And that was the thing, was when we were really struggling. One of the things that it kind of kept us a little bit ahead in the third quarter was when Cantor came in and he went to the basket. There was a couple times where he was able to get to the basket, and I know Dame got a driving lay-in, CJ got a driving lay-in, and those were the things that kind of kept us ahead when our shots weren't falling. But we tend to get 2-3 happy. The Dallas game, I keep thinking about the Dallas game, that 9-point fourth quarter we had against Dallas in a game we absolutely should have won. And it was just the shot wasn't falling. So what did we do? We kept playing a bunch of one-on-one stuff, waiting for somebody else to take the big shot, hoisting up a bunch of threes when our shot isn't dropping, and it cost us a game. So the Blazers just need to do that more often. When the offense isn't clicking the way it was before, I'd rather have you drive to the basket and try to get an easy shot and get it blocked than to stand outside hoisting a 3 when you've missed your last 6 or 7. And I mean, the third quarter, the threes we were putting up, we had open looks, and they were missing bad. Chief had an open 3 in the corner. He didn't have anybody within 5-6 feet of him. It was a long-distance free throw, and he barely grazed the rim on it. And then late in the game, when our shots were dropping, Chief got a contested 3 in the corner, and the moment he jumped up, I'm like, I bet you Chief hits this 3. And he made it. It was so much harder than any shot he bricked in the third quarter. So it's a good thing we didn't lose, because it would have just negated the Philadelphia win, a game that a lot of people probably think we shouldn't have won. And statistically, on paper, we shouldn't have won. And then you drop one against Cleveland. So, all things considered, that's the most important thing at the end of the day is they still won the game, but we still got exposed for what I think is our biggest weakness, which is we have these periods, these 4 to 7 minute periods where our offense isn't clicking and we don't seem to be, and we aren't doing the right things to get out of that funk. And so instead of it only being like a 3 minute stretch where we can't score, it becomes a 5 or 6 minute stretch. And, we'll have these quarters where, the first 8 minutes we score like 6 or 7 points. And then we finally start clicking again and we score like 15 points the last 3 minutes or something like that. And if we can just close those gaps up and play more complete games, we have much better odds of winning consistently. But all things considered, this is a 7 game road trip. As I heard, this is the longest road trip in the history of the Blazer franchise. And we're 3-0 right now. Boston and Toronto are next. Not easy. I know Kawhi has been out for Toronto. I really hope Kawhi's out for the Blazer game. Probably won't be, but I don't really know what his status is. But yeah, we have 2 games that are going to be really hard on the last 4. And then we have Memphis. I want to say Charlotte. Maybe. But we'll see how that goes. And I'm getting a call from my girlfriend, so that's it for this video. See you guys later.